Okay, so I got compiled together a string of things that are evidence that's going to prove the thing that I've been trying to tell everybody for a while. A lot of people already proved it. And Frank, the idea is to just sell you on the lie.
Part of the diary, but she did not write all of it. Is that
No,
correct?
perhaps most of it she did not write. In a sense, what is probably what did happen. Anne Frank did write something, eh? And a lot of this was edited by Mr. Frank and his collaborators, and then it was presented as Anne Frank's material. And very possible it could be that the diary today, which we have today, is in most cases not Anne Frank's writings, and this is what I like to find out: how much exactly is hers, and what isn't.
All right. First of all, what led you to be skeptical about the diary itself? It's promulgated by some of the leading personalities in our society. It's read by a vast majority of our school children. Our mainstream academics seem to accept its accuracy.
To sell you on the lie.
What led you to believe that it was
Why you teach children.
false?
Well, I tell you, it led me to believe it, to be very quickly about that. It was that anonymously I was mailed a booklet by the name, the author was called Richard Harwood. Did 6 Million Really Die? Within it there was mention about the Anne Frank story, and I was actually not wanting to prove Anne Frank wrong. I wanted to prove that Harwood was wrong, and so I investigated the matter, and I did find out that there was certain parts in that booklet which were incorrect, and this in turn brought me to another subject. By moving into the Anne Frank diary, I of course also found out that very likely she could not have written this. So in other words, it was a very strange way of getting into Anne Frank. It was actually proving the Richard Harwood, or Verrill, who is the actual author of that, wrong, and in that turn I came into this whole issue of which I call exterminationism. It's a vast issue, and Anne Frank is part of that issue.
What would you say is your principal objection to the presentation of the Anne Frank text as it is now published?
Well, it is used as a defense for the crimes committed today by a so-called Israel in Palestine, and it's done on the motivation of that this child suffered intensely, and therefore the so-called Israelis should have the right to clobber the Palestinians and mishandle them just as they want, just because of this girl's alleged difficulties.
Yes, but I mean, apart from this...
I don't know. I don't put it past the people, because then, like, what, 20 years later, 40 years later, in the 90s, they did the whole, like, they took the babies and they smashed them on the floor. Evil to even say that. People, to accuse people that didn't do that, of that.
What evidence can you articulate which pertains actually to the book itself? What can you relate to us which would lead us to believe that it is not authentic?
Well, the handwriting is the major thing. It's very obvious that the handwriting cannot belong to the same person when you look at them. This can be observed, and also by, this was later on, I did write about it in my booklet, that investigations should be made. We have today the means to investigate these matters, and the investigation should be made. And as you perhaps know, this was later done, and it was found out that certain parts of it, or certain details of it, were written in a ballpoint pen, which were not in existence commonly at that time. So here they did what...
Gotta love how all that stuff always comes out way afterwards. They didn't speak about the war because of all the atrocities. My ass. You know, every grandfather or something would be talking stories about it.
I had asked for doing, but there are many other things. The very introduction of Anne Frank, where she mentions the way a house was built and so forth, Now, to me, it was very obvious that a young girl like that would never write a diary of that nature.
Who made this investigation regarding the ballpoint pen writing?
Well, it was made on the basis of a trial which Mr. Otto Frank and his publisher and his publisher in Germany made against a fellow at Hamburg, and this trial is still pending for good reasons. I think it's probably they are waiting for this man who is quite old to die, because it's so obvious that Anne Frank is a hoax.
This man that they're waiting for to die in Hamburg is someone who had claimed, as you do, that the diary of Anne Frank is a hoax, and her father and the publisher took him to court. Is that correct?
That's right, yes.
And as a result of that court hearing, an investigation was made into the means of the writing of the book, and it was revealed that a ballpoint pen was used, which had not been invented at that time.
Yes, and I like to add here that Mr. Otto Frank gave this group
The video cuts out right there.
who did the investigation.
Yeah, it cuts out. I'll have to find the rest of that one time. We'll find the rest of my other clips. Okay, so this is Anne Frank's sister, and she's going to talk about the camps.
And something I wanted to point out to you, you know, there are many pictures about the Russian liberating Auschwitz, and there's never any snow. And the snow was honestly that high. And so I have some connection with the Russian embassy, and I was there once, and I said, something puzzles me. Those photos are fakes, because there's no snow. And they said, well, yes, they are not fakes, but when the army came, they didn't have cameras, they didn't photograph. So only much later, when they realized we should have pictures of it, they took pictures like you see now, but this is definitely not in Auschwitz and not the liberation of Auschwitz. There were not that many people with clothes and children, and no snow.
Notice how her story didn't involve even like a house or anything and all that stuff. Just things to point out. So, another clip.
Don't push it. I defend my ethnic group and my native country against the most massive propaganda lie that still lingers on from the Second World War. It is an extortion racket perpetrated against the German people, which has netted the Zionists already over 100 billion German marks. It is very profitable, and the racket is cloaked in humanity and human things. I don't want to tie it into your lead into the story with the Anne Frank diary. I've got the book here,
Yep.
the Anne Frank diary hoax. I have here a document by the German forensic section of the Bundeskriminalamt, which has tested in 1980 many sheets of the 3 diaries, and I came up with saying that they were written, many parts, in ballpoint pen ink, which only came on the market in 1951. So the writer of the diary was alive in 1951, so either Anne wasn't the writer, or she was alive and not dead.
All right, let's get back to this
German
myth.
government document.
Let's get back to this myth that you say, that
Yes.
6 million people, most of them Jews, did not die.
Good. Very easy to prove. There were no 6 million Jews in the areas occupied by Nazi Germany.
The death camps didn't exist?
Concentration camps existed.
Work camp. They do that all the time. They were actually not bad because they used to, like, you know, have care for people. But, you know, look at Gaza.
Why did the German government, the West German government, pay all these billions of Deutschmarks in reparation
For the Uyghurs.
if it did not feel that there was some validity?
Number one, the West German government is a Quisling government. It was installed by the Allied occupying authorities. It was hand-picked, and all opposition parties that could have represented...
My bad. It cut into another video, so let me find the other ones. Okay, I got more. The only known footage of her. Can you identify shit? That's it. That's it. These are supposed to be her. And we're supposed to believe it. My bad. I did it again, and I didn't want to like clip into something I didn't know what the fuck I was gonna be. Yeah, I couldn't find the rest of the other videos because they're always getting taken down. I wonder why. Yeah.